Okay, I'd like to start the City Council General Meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody. We have kind of a short council here tonight. One of our council members is sick, and the other one, condolences go out to Tom Sonic, Councilmember Sonic, whose father passed away a couple days ago. So he is gone. So you have the three of us here. Mary, if you could take roll.
Councilmember Thorson?
Here.
Councilmember Peterson?
Here.
Mayor Furlong?
Here.
Councilmembers Walzak and Sonic are absent.
Quorum is present. This time, motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Councilmember Peterson,
Second.
second by Councilmember Thorson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. We don't have any presentations. We have the consent agenda, and that is the January 7th, 2020 workshop meeting minutes, the January 7th, 2020 regular meeting minutes, general accounts payable of $4,913,083.88, the HRA accounts payable of $13,952.99, the EDA accounts payable of $450, the electronic bidding policy, the gambling permit carrying for cats, the gambling permit Richardson Elementary PTA, and the gambling permit temporary liquor license for Church of St. Peter. This time, if anybody would like to pull any of the items. If not, motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Thorson, second by Councilmember Peterson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. At this time, the meeting is open to the public, and I have two people here. The first one is John Schmall in regards to KC aerator and info request. And I'm fighting a cold, so
I just got over one,
You got
so
over
I'm
one,
ahead of
so-
you.
welcome, John.
I've gone through it. Mayor, Council. Casey Aerator hasn't been working for 2 weeks. Anybody know why?
Oh, no.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, the motor failed, complete failure of the motor. I know Public Works has been trying to track down a replacement. This has been one of those cooperative deals between the DNR and the Watershed District. That was originally provided by jointly between those two agencies. So now that it failed, they started out with that as one of those two agencies going to replace it, repair it, and that was some time to get that decided, but I know they're moving ahead with getting a replacement in there, so you should see something going back in soon.
Because of one of the items on the agenda this evening is why I called the Watershed District and said, what's going on with the project, to get an idea, because the notification came out on Friday for us in the council. And, I live on this wonderful lake where I have my cabin cruiser tied up to the shore. Anyway, and the person in charge, Dave Vellison, he didn't know that it hasn't been working. So, I don't know how the word gets around, but it didn't get to the Watershed District or the person who's going to be digging the silt out of the lake. So, but that's their problem. But I thought they'd know that it was gone.
They're well aware, and I'll comment on the project when we get to that in the agenda.
Yeah, okay. And the other thing was there a reasoned decision made not to continue with the data request form that has been for the last 7 years that I've been submitting data requests? The PDF form was fillable. You could click on it and it would come alive and you could fill it in, you could save it, and you'd have a record of the information request on your own computer. You can't do that now. First of all, the PDF form, if you click on it and want to fill it, you get a message that says that'll be $14.99 a month that you have to pay to Adobe. I'm not paying $14.99 a month. I would rather have that form be alive like it used to be, and so I can save it, because the system in Civic Plus, I mean, this is, information, nobody knows what I'm talking about right now. In Civic Plus, you can't save it. It's an email. You can't save an email. Anyway, and with my abilities, I can't save an email. So I would like to see that form come back the way it was for the last 7 years.
And I'm not sure what, and I don't want to say this because it's been ongoing, but just as, this is my commitment, that just like our utility billing and things like that on moves forward to correct some of those things and make them better, same thing with this, with form fillables on our website. Whether this is a Adobe issue with the version that you might have, I know there's free options out there, but it's something that we'll look into. But I'll just say, same thing publicly with data request. If anybody out there in our community, if there's some question that anybody has or wants to know anything, I don't need a form filled out. Call up, talk to me on the phone, stop in the office. I'm happy to sit down with you anytime. But we'll look into this.
Well, I need a form filled out, so thank you.
Thanks, John. And we also have Sue Springborn. North St. Paul General Meeting, and
My handwriting's bad. Don't ask me to write.
welcome, Sue.
Hi, Sue Springborn, 2573 13th Avenue, North St. Paul. I just have a couple of things. One thing, I just wanted to publicly announce the next meeting at the Historical Society, because I think it's going to be so much fun. On Tuesday, January 28th at 7 p.m., the general meeting is going to be about high school pranks. And Bruce Fisher is bringing some people that did some naughty things in high school, and it turns out it's all boys. There's no girls that have come forward with any naughty pranks, so that's kind of
Do
interesting.
you have none yourself?
No,
Wow.
no. You'll make up for it? Okay. So I just wanted to mention that. I think it's going to be great fun, and everyone is welcome. I just kind of wish we had done it in the summer, because two of the people that were involved in painting the cannon pink live in Florida now. And they would have probably been here if they weren't in Florida. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I just want to thank you all. I just can't thank you enough for what you do, council members and Scott. You are in a tough place, a lot of times between a rock and a hard place, and you have to make hard decisions that are not popular. And I certainly appreciate it. It would be so easy to just sit up there and say yes and go along with the flow. But I appreciate the fact that you study the problem, you look at the problem, and then you make the best decision for all of North St. Paul, not just this little chunk or this little chunk. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you, Sue. Really appreciate that. Here's your $20. No, just kidding. Yeah, there you go. All right. So at this time, we, city business and action items, and I'll turn it over to Scott, city manager.
Mayor, Council, thank you. The first item up that we have, and we've kind of got this in a strategic order, is the potential repealing of our assessment policy. And this is something that we've talked about recently at council workshop on our current assessment policy that we have throughout the city for street improvement projects and projects like that across that we've been doing every other year with the street improvements. We've historically had an assessment for the abutting property with set dollar amounts based on footage, based on whether it's a full reconstruction or if it's a mill and overlay type construction. And so again, we've discussed this recently, and under this proposal, this would repeal our current assessment policy. And what that means is the work for those street improvement projects, instead of being assessed to the adjoining property owner specifically on that street, it would be added to our overall city levy. So basically, all taxpayers within the city would share in those costs.
Okay. Any questions for Scott? I'd just like to make a couple comments, because we talked about this for quite some time now, and we don't take this lightly. This is a policy change that is going to affect, well, it's going to be beneficial for the homeowners because we won't be assessing the homeowners for the reconstruction projects or construction projects on the streets. So I think it's a good thing. And from what I've learned is that a lot of cities are going to this policy only because of it creates a lot of animosity within the city. It creates a lot of I don't know, it's hard decision-making when you have to deal with a group of people that are being assessed a lot of money, and there's a lot of rights and wrongs to it. So we've determined that, and like I said, other cities are kind of going towards this type of policy, and that we're going to eliminate it. So I don't know, City Manager, if you got anything else to add for it?
I think this-
The assets, why we're doing it.
Yeah, I think this
positives.
creates all of our streets and our infrastructure as a city asset, and that all are contributing to its improvements and their maintenance of. I mean, it's hard to say that, in past, and what we've done in the past, I'm not saying that it was wrong. It's been a procedure that we've followed for years, and this is just a time change. And if you approve this policy, where we move to a levy process, assessments that we've done in the recent past, those are in the past. We're not looking back to make any changes or refunds or anything with those in the past. This is a new policy that we'll move forward with from this point forward. But yeah, I think overall it puts our community all in equally.
Okay.
And if I could just add, my opinion on this is that streets should be considered utilities like water and sewer lines. And the assessment policy, correct me if I'm wrong, there's state statute that allows municipalities or cities to assess homeowners only on the street portion. And the homeowners are not assessed the full street portion. It's generally been some sort of percentage. It's not the full amount. And despite that being that smaller piece of the pie that's getting assessed to homeowners, it generally can be a larger dollar amount, and it's not always the same amount for everyone on the neighborhood. So it kind of can become a contentious item. In the past, the city has strayed a bit from our policy, and over the last year, as we've brought this up, it's just the consensus has been moving towards, well, we should look at changing this now. We can't go back and change what's been done, but our city has very rapidly deteriorating infrastructure. It's a concern. We're trying to put a long-term plan together. We'd like to just fix everything at once, but it's just not financially feasible. And so this began back in 2013. We're still pretty early on in the grand scheme of things. And so this just seems like it makes the most sense moving forward to make this change now, rather than continue to kick the can down the road. I know it's going to be upsetting for people that already have been obsessed, but we're trying to look at the big picture and what's more beneficial for the community as a whole, and this is the route that we all seem is the right decision to make. So
the motion is to, a resolution repealing in part resolution number 2013-087, a resolution adopting a capital improvement plan for street reconstruction, park improvement plan, and a special assessment policy, and repealing resolution number 2018-109, a resolution adopting an amended special assessment policy.
so moved.
So moved by Councilmember Thorson,
And I'll second it, Your Honor.
second by Councilmember Peterson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. At this time, we have our public hearing, and I'll turn it over to City Manager Dudek.
Mayor, Council, the next item that we have is our public improvement, 7th Avenue, and we have Sue Polka here this evening that will present the project.
Welcome, Sue.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have a brief presentation for you to go over the 7th Avenue Street and Utility Project. As you know, the project extends from 7th Avenue East between 3rd Street and 1st Street North. Also 2nd Street North from approximately 600 feet north of 7th to approximately 225 feet south. Also 1st Street North from 7th Avenue to approximately 200 feet south of 7th Avenue. And also we'll be doing some resurfacing on some of the alleys in the area as well. The proposed improvements include a full pavement reconstruction, addition of new concrete curb and gutter, new and replacement sidewalks, some medians and some trails along 7th. Also, as I mentioned, paving some of the alleys. We will also be doing water main replacement, sanitary sewer improvements, lining or replacing where necessary, and then adding some storm sewer improvements. Design considerations, we use the downtown revitalization plan as a guide. As you are aware, in some of the areas, we have made some modifications, but generally have designed a urban street where it was previously rural. We will be including on-street parking, and with new watershed rules, we will be adding a pond, and also coordinate for a future roundabout at South and 2nd. That is not included in this plan. We're currently working with Ramsey County to develop a plan for a future improvement in that area. This slide just shows the pavement and the trail improvements, as well as the new parking areas. Funding costs anticipated, the total estimate for the project is $5,623,136.40. This table shows that about $2.8 million is proposed to be used from or funded through municipal state aid for the street portion. $750,000 for, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. $750,000 for storm sewer coming out of municipal state aid funds. $382,000 for sanitary sewer coming from the utility fund. $760,000 from the water utility fund. $750,000 from the surface water fund, and about $192,000 from the street maintenance fund. Schedule. We started this last year with the ordering of the feasibility report in June, and tonight we are requesting that you order the improvements and authorize the ad for bid. We would advertise in February, begin construction in May, and substantially complete the project in November of this year with final pavement wear course next year by the end of June. So your next steps would be to hold a public hearing and consider approval of the improvements. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Any questions for Sue? No questions for you. Thank you. So at this time, is the public hearing, do we start it now, or we already started it? I'm assuming. We already started it. Okay, so we can take public comment.
Public comment here.
Okay, so at this time, we can take public comment. If you want to just come up, I see one gentleman here is interested.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Rebar Abdullah. I'm the owner of property 2407 at 7th Avenue. I just have a couple of questions regarding the project. Sue mentioned that the project is funded and the utilities, the water services will be included in the repair. Does that service go all the way to the property or just to the right-of-way?
The water improvements would go to the right-of-way line.
And do we know if the services are galvanized then, or from the right-of-way to the property owners?
I believe in the past, we have done some investigations, but I don't believe at this time we're planning on going past the right-of-way line.
The reason I'm asking is just that probably it's a good time now, if it is galvanized, that the property owner should consider replacing it with the project since it's being already open.
Right.
Is there a way we can find out?
Yeah, and I'll just comment that both either galvanized or we've even had old lead services that have been in place. So we would install the new water services up to the curb box,
Yeah.
Curb stop, and then it would be the property owners to take it from that point into the building. So we could work together jointly with you to see what your services is on your property, and then try to coordinate something with you.
And then the other question is, I don't know if it is a good time now, with the funding, you said it's going to be levied on all properties through the city. Just my question is the portion of the state aid funding going to be included in the levy, or the state aid funding is going to be excluded? You know, because there is a state aid project funding and then all the utilities that coming in. So which portion of it is going to get levied, and is it going to be on a yearly basis? So this project is going to get levied next year and get paid off, and then the year after is going to be the next project then?
Mayor, if it's okay, I'll have our finance director come up and explain some of this, because under our new assessment policies and how this is going to roll forward in the years to come.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, so in regards to that question, one of the slides that Sue presented stated that the state aid portion would be determined by the council at some point. It is state aid dollar eligible, those activities.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily been determined at this point if the council wants to commit current and future dollars for that. So there are only certain streets within the city that
Yes.
those dollars can be used. So it's going to be up to the council at some point to make a determination whether or not they want to allocate future dollars for that. And traditionally, the debt that's been issued is over a 15-year period. And that's only for the street portion. And the utility portion isn't levied with traditional property taxes. It's included in the utility billing process and added to the bill.
Thank you very much.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? Just come up as a team, that's the best way to do it.
I trip on the way.
Yeah. Welcome.
Lori and Ken Lang at 2231 Penn Place. And the question that I have for you is, when the construction is started on 7th Street and it gets up towards 2nd Street, on the back entrance on that street, all the way down to, from Shifsky's all the way up to 7th Street, is there any way those trucks can be moved to a different direction to exit versus tearing up our streets after it's done? Because it's pothole city. The whole thing is. Can that be worked out in the future?
Or are they gonna work it out once they get done with the project?
Yeah, I was going to say we're hopeful with all the developments that are upcoming that traffic flow potentially will change, but that 2nd Street is a state aid road, so it's constructed for those heavy type of traffic, because it's in a commercial area there, if you will, with that. So that road is constructed for that heavy traffic, but with the redevelopment and development going on the old Anchor site and things over there, it's very likely that the traffic flows will change in the coming years.
So once this project started, are they gonna do 2nd Street?
Yes.
More solid or what?
Well, 2nd Street is already constructed as a 9-ton road, as we call it, for state aid construction, so it's already constructed to that level. But under this project, we will be working for the project down halfway down 2nd Street, just past the driveway, the entrance into the Penn Place. That's where that project limits will extend to. And then We're also looking at doing a maintenance overlay from that portion to, continuing to the north to the frontage road by 36 there. But that may be delayed with some of the other improvements that are going on down and around that area to make sure that those improvements are done before we overlay that street.
But eventually. you
Yes, it will.
put in.
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have, if I can potentially put them on the spot, we have with the project upcoming on the 7th Avenue project, and as Sue talked about, we've a lot of ponding and storage tanks and things that we have to put in on this project because the section of 7th Avenue has no storm sewer on it whatsoever currently. So there's a lot of storm sewer work. You can see as Sue presented here, we've got nearly $800,000 worth of storm work, or more than that actually, $2 million worth of storm work to go on. So with that, one of the properties that we purchased recently is the house off of First Street and 7th Avenue. And where that house was purchased, we'll be building a pond that will also be supplementing this and some of the other flooding concerns in the back area there. And one of our business owners, Metric Auto, in town here, I know they're here this evening, and we'll be working with them to potentially have an access easement across their parking lot as we work with that ponding and be able to create overflow through the parking lot to make sure that we do have an access out if should that pond ever have overflow. And with that, we would be resurfacing their parking lot as we do this construction. So I just wanted to throw that out. Is that a permanent easement? Yes. And we'll definitely meet with you one-on-one to go through that to make sure that you're understanding of that and okay with everything.
Okay. Anybody else would like to address the council? Rick, you got any words of wisdom or anything? Okay, at this time, we'll close the public portion at 6:57. And is there an action item I need to take then, or? Okay, so at this time, resolution ordering the improvements, approving plans and specifications, and ordering the advertisement for bids for the 2020 street and utility improvements project. Is there a motion?
So move, Your Honor.
Moved by Councilmember Peterson.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Thorson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Next item up is the award for bids for the road improvements on McKnight Road and also through the Anchor North project that we've been talking about and putting together. Sue, if you could come up and present that also. Again, this is for all the improvements on McKnight Road, traffic signals that will go in for that for access for north and southbound traffic into the new Anchor North project, and also the construction of that, and Sue will go over the project.
And I just want to mention, because I think that was your question, if the traffic, so this is part of this, we're going to be building a road which could accommodate a lot of those trucks going over there. So just thought I'd let you know. Go ahead, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We opened bids for the McKnight Road and Anchor Drive project on January 9th. And Anchor Drive, for those of you in the audience, is going to connect McKnight and 3rd Street through the old Anchor Block site. We received 5 bids, and the lowest responsible bidder was Rachel Contracting, LLC, with a bid of $2,185,876.70. This was lower than the engineer's estimate, and the bids were very tight, less than $400,000 from high to low. So we received very good bids. And Rachel Contracting was the contractor who did the grading and site work, site cleanup on the Anchor Block site several months ago. So we would recommend award of the contract to Rachel Contracting, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Sue? Not, thank you, Sue.
All right, thank you.
Resolution accepting bids and awarding a construction contract for the CSAH 68 McKnight Road intersection improvements, city project number CP 19-02, SAP 151-020-033/151-268-001/062 668-057. Is there a motion? So moved by Councilmember Peterson.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember I don't know why I had to read all that, but that's what it is. Any discussion? If
Yeah,
not,
is there a requirement that all that gets read? I mean, can't we just? You can just adopt the resolution. Okay. I know traditionally we've always just read the whole thing, but. Depends how much clarity you want. Okay, just wanted to clarify that that's optional.
Thank you.
It's on you.
All right. So the motion is the resolution accepting bids and awarding construction contract for the improvements. How's that? All right. And Rachel Contracting would be the contractor. No other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
Mayor, Council, thank you. So that action that you just took, that again sets us up to start that work immediately this spring to continue the development of that site down there. Things were moved along quickly this last fall in doing the site cleanup and preparing the site pad ready for construction. So this is just the next step in being able to move that along quickly as we're working in the final stages of finalizing a couple purchase agreements for the start of work down there, of the build-out and development of that site. So thank you for moving this along and keeping that project moving. The next item that we have is the Ramsey Washington Watershed District and a memorandum of understanding for Casey Lake maintenance, as we heard from one of our residents earlier this evening on that project. And initially, this was thought to be a consent agenda item, and I had asked to pull that off as I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So the watershed has put this project together with really out any of our involvement. We weren't brought in to know about this until I believe it was either late November or early in December, which thankful for them to come in and do the necessary work for cleanup of our ponds and lakes and streams and things like that. It was just kind of took us off guard on what this was about, because we don't normally see this, and we've got pond maintenance in other areas. But along with this, there was a section on the document that talked about installing a boat ramp, and it was just interesting of some of the information that was there, and it was some concerning that when we have something that's going to be installed as a boat ramp, what does that mean? Are residents now going to want to put their boat in and things like that?
Well, John mentioned that he's got a.
Yes.
He's got his.
Yes, so it took us all by surprise, and after some clarity, and it's been kind of difficulty, but right now and we're getting on the same page with things, but after some clarity, we made sure that boat ramp labeling is not a boat ramp labeling, and it will be a maintenance access is what it will be used for. And what this is all about, and I think why it's kind of taken off with the watersheds, and again, we're grateful for the work that they do, but I think the reason this took off is this all has to do with since the carp were killed off several years ago, and now we have the weed and algae and the things that are down there, they're in the lake at least once and usually multiple times a year doing harvesting down there with removing the weed growth on the lake. In the past years, they've had great difficulty in launching that harvester, which is an oversized pontoon harvester weed cutter. just because of getting it in the lake. Our Public Works usually ends up having to help them pull it out because they're stuck trying to launch it off the side of the shore. So that's where this maintenance ramp is coming into play, so that they've got access to launch that. The sediment clean out, what they're doing then is sediment clean out right next to this area where the stream that comes in has built up settlement there from some storm sewers throughout the city that drain into this area. So they'll be removing sediment from that area and installing this maintenance ramp. The work is proposed to be done sometime in February while water is not running, although looking at the upcoming week, we might have water running with the 30-some degrees. But their proposal is to do it sometime in February while the ground is froze and while there's no runoff going in. So there will be doing some silt blankets and things out into the lake to prevent any issues with that. But this is completely a project that is managed and operated and conducted by the Watershed District. Yeah.
Now, this isn't, you're not gonna have regular boats use it for long?
Not at all.
Okay, I was a little concerned, right, John? Okay, thank you.
But that's not to stop someone from bringing a kayak
Canoe,
or a
yeah.
yacht, or not a yacht, but
Right.
a canoe.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that's kind of turned into over the years, how they've utilized that area. There kind of is like a slipway that
Yes.
gets rutted up, and so it makes sense. It's going to be an improvement. And then just doing a quick rough estimate just to give people an idea of the traffic that's going to be going on there. They're estimating it's about 500 cubic yards of material.
Correct.
And your average dump truck, a smaller one is 5 yards, a larger one 10 yards. So we're talking between 50 and 100 loads of sediment that are going to be hauled out of there, which seems like a lot, but it's probably just kind of scraping the surface as far as what's.
Yeah, they're not going out into the lake very far, and it's just in that outlet area there. And it's a good time to do it because the trucks need to access the park, so they're going across frozen ground. They'll be coming out along the ball field fence line there and then out into the parking lot. And then they'll be doing any restoration required in the spring. We'll be doing any restoration work.
Okay. Any other questions? Not, motion to authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of North St. Paul and the Ramsey, Washington Metro Watershed District for the sediment removal and maintenance ramp at Casey Lake Park.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Thorson, second by Councilmember Peterson. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. City Manager Dudek, if you have anything
That's the
else.
last business item.
Okay. At this time, reports of City Manager.
Just to recap, as I mentioned, with the projects continuing on, so back with the Anchor North project with the street improvements that you approved this evening, truly in the final phases of a couple purchase agreements, and hopeful to move those forward here soon and bring those back to you for a final approval in preparation for construction early summer is the hope and plan for that. Also, the project on 7th Avenue, the old City Hall site, we're coming down on the end of that one with finalizing that project. And at this point, I believe we'll likely have a document for you to finalize that at their February 4th meeting to potentially look at construction start sometime in the latter part of February for that also. So lots of these projects, just trying to get everything lined up for spring because it's not far away. The M&I townhomes that we just had here at the last council meeting where they were seeking approval for their second phase, that you approved that. I can tell you that they've submitted again today additional building permits for units down there. So they're continuing on. That first phase had 49 units in it, and I think they're almost complete with the request for permits for all 49 of those units. I think there's only like maybe six left. So they're moving along, getting all their permits in place so that they can continue constructing. And I know their busy time is coming for sales springtime, so they're gearing up for that for home sales.
How many have they sold?
Last I'd heard there was 10 that they had sold.
At the last meeting, he gave an update of 8.
Yes.
So 2 more have sold,
Yes.
so that's good.
Yeah. So that's moving along very well, along with these other projects. The Sweet Living on the, up on 13th Avenue, the old bus garage site, that's moving along quite well now. They're making good progress up there, trying to get that completed and ready to open up probably late spring, early summer up there also would be my guess. But they're making good progress now. Snow, just an update for our Public Works. With this last snow, as you'll see them around hauling snow from in and around the downtown and other areas, working on the cleanup there. Weather forecasts are warm weather beginning tomorrow and the way it looks for the next week or so. So they're out getting things cleaned up with that. Just another update within department-wise. Police Department, last week we conducted interviews for the potential promotion of a police sergeant within the department. So we've had a lot of different areas going on, and we'll be finalizing that process and making an appointment with that promotion also. The other thing I just wanted to take a minute to talk about, again, our condolences to our council member Sonic on his father passing away. Wanted to do the same thing for Andrea McDowell-Paler. She's one of our attorneys with Soren's office, and her father also passed away the funeral was last week. And so just, again, giving our condolences to Andrea. Difficult times with this during the holidays and that. I know Andrea's father was, I was talking to Andrea about him, and really well-respected and a lot of activity in his life. 30-year retired captain in the Navy and 44 years of law practice. So quite a career, and you can see where Andrea gets it. So, thank you.
Reports of council, commission and committees. Councilmember Peterson.
Your Honor, Park and Rec Commission meets tomorrow night here in City Hall at 6:30. Public is invited to attend. We're just going to do some more planning for 2020 and looking forward to the warmer weather. League of Minnesota Cities, I'll be attending an Experience Leadership Conference at the end of this week in Plymouth. I always enjoy that. They do a good job, and I probably learned something, and I'll bring it back to my colleagues. And that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Councilmember Thorson.
EDA meeting was canceled, so the next EDA meeting will be in March.
Correct.
Second Tuesday in March at 3:30 p.m. here at City Hall.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
And I'd just like to mention that the Veterans Park, they have now sold 1,299 pavers, or one short of 1,300 pavers. And they're going to be at our next meeting in February at the high school. So,
Mayor, if I could add to that, when you talk about the Veterans Park, I did talk briefly with the Batsy Foundation and on the home construction. So they're back ready to, now that we've cleared up our title issues that we had with that, they're going to get their team back together so we can talk about that and get everything lined up, ready to move, but they would like to get that process approved and ready to start for spring construction.
it's good to hear. General business, Councilmember Peterson.
Just want to do a shout out to our stellar police department. They've been collecting mittens and hats for people that need them, and it's been overwhelmed. The community has been helping out as well. So I wanted to thank them. They're still taking them, and they'll end up going to a school or something. They won't go to waste. So if you have anything extra of warmth, I mean, now we're getting into the warmer, but I know it's going to get cold again. So, and there's a pancake breakfast scheduled at American Legion Hall from 8 to 12 this Sunday. The proceeds are going to be for projects, so I'm going to be there serving.
Who's putting it in?
It's the Legion. It's for maintenance of their building. So it was a fundraiser for them. And pancakes are always good this time of year. So that's 8 to noon this Sunday at the Legion. And then I was going to talk about the Historical Society, but Sue did that. I'm going to probably confess on something that I might have done. As long as my parents are dead now, I can probably do it. I had to be kind of a goody-goody because my dad was a teacher, but I'll think of something. I think that should be fun. So that's all I have.
We're going to hear it or no? We're not going to hear what
No, you have to come
Councilmember Thorson.
I'll just take a moment to remind anyone who might be listening in that project area, as the gentleman spoke earlier, now is the time to start doing your research on figuring out these sorts of things from the home to the right-of-way. The homeowner is responsible, and if you've got a connection that needs to be replaced, now would be the time to start planning and coordinating with contractors to get that work done, so.
Driveways too. People.
Yeah, driveway aprons get cut out and replaced, so.
Okay, good. I just got, we had school dedication last week at Castle Elementary. This next week, on the 29th, at 4 o'clock at Richardson. We'll be having a dedication at that time for Richardson. In our next general council meeting will be February 4th at 2:30 p.m. at North High in the gymnasium, auditorium. I believe it's the same thing, or is it this? No, it's auditorium. Okay. Like to welcome everyone to come that day. It's going to be interesting. We've never done this before, so we'll see how it works out. If it works out real good, maybe we'll do it a couple times a year or move our meeting. We'll have a traveling meeting. We'll buy a truck and, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, if, what I'd like to do is get out in the public and get the kids involved a little bit and see what, get them and see what they see a government as, and if they have questions for us and that type of thing. So I think it's going to be a win-win for us and for them. So this time, motion to adjourn. So moved by Councilmember Peterson.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Thorson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.